Well, hey there and hello, and welcome to the candy wallpapered upstairs hallway of the dollhouse for another reading of The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers for September 9th, the day of difficult demand. And here at the top of the page for the day of difficult command, we have us a visual representation of the day. And what is it? Oh, well, it's a pair of scissors clipping into what looks like a sunflower. Now, I don't quite know what the association is, but it's not altogether all that important. And sometimes we can figure that out as we go through the read. But in any event, hey, is it your birthday today and it's September 9th? Well, if it is, I just want to say happy birthday. That's right. And if this video finds you long or perhaps shortly after your birthday has already come and gone, I hope you had a happy birthday. That's right. And for everyone else who's just joining us randomly or more ideally to celebrate September 9th birthday, I want to say hello, welcome, and hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before we dive in with the read proper, let's roll some dice. That's right, it is the DykASSt birthday cast, so we need to live up to the namesake, and more importantly, we do it for synchronicity's sake. And here we rolled us a 2 and a 6 for 8. Oh, just one shy of your birthday number. That's not necessarily important, though. Hey, and what is synchronicity? Some of you may be wondering. Well, it's just you getting out into the world and putting these numbers out there kind of in your intuition there for the universe to know, and letting the universe show you it's there with you on your path. And all you do is you go out looking for these numbers, and when you spy them, you get after them with a quickness. You know what I mean? You chase after them with zeal, and then once you find them or you follow them, and if maybe you lose them, whatever, but you just kind of take some time, recompose yourself, and you keep on the lookout for them. And as you do this, a lot of times you start to see a theme present, or things just kind of start to fall into a kind of line that you wouldn't have thought possible. And just the fact that you start seeing those numbers everywhere it just shows you the universe is there with you on your path. You might see a bus pull up and it's the number 8 bus. Well, jump on. I know it's probably going the opposite direction where you're intending to go, but hey, your intention here is to chase those numbers. So get out of your way and let the universe kind of be your guide, I suppose. And even if you miss something, even if one of those numbers gets away from you, just recompose yourself. The universe has a way, as I've been told, of putting us back on the path, even if we get off. And you might just happen to start to see a theme develop, like I said. Maybe you get off the bus as you follow one of those numbers, and you find yourself in a sunflower field, and there's somebody with a big old pair of scissors cutting them down. Who's to say? Maybe that's what the image represents. I don't know. But in any event, that's synchronicity in a nutshell, at least as far as I understand it. I could be completely off base, but in any event, it'll get you out of the house and get you your steps in. That's right, at the very least. All right, enough screwing around with synchronicity. Let's get in with your birthday. All right, your month is September, your day the 9th, your sign is 15 to 17 degrees Virgo, and your period is Virgo II specifically, and your quality and element is mutable earth. September 9th, the day of difficult demand. Those born on September 9th repeatedly face all kinds of demanding situations, usually more the product of their own complicated nature than of fate. If they could learn to more often take a path of least resistance and not invariably the most difficult way, they would lead much more peaceful but perhaps less eventful lives. There is no doubt that September 9 people are drawn to challenges. Easily bored, they find it insufferable to just sit back and do the same predictably rewarding or unrewarding things year after year. Consequently, they are either consciously or unconsciously on the lookout for complex people, places, and things with which to become involved. And such a desire may grow out of an integral longing, a feeling that there is somehow something missing, no matter how successful or fortunate they have been. Indeed, many September 9 people have felt the need to search for this missing element, since childhood. It is this emotional complexity that makes September 9 people very attractive to certain members of the opposite sex, who often wind up fathering or mothering them, it says in parentheticals. But though September 9 people may be in need of such a nurturing form of love, they remain independent, and willful. And once those born in this day have gotten it in their head to do something, it is very difficult to talk them out of it. Yet, since they are introspective and taken up with their own personal process, they will usually realize when they have made a mistake or chosen the wrong path, even if it takes them some time to do so. One of the weaknesses of September 9 people, however, is that they tend to magnify their personal problems and may too readily seek help in the wrong places. And those born in this day can be very private people, but usually their occupation or main interest brings them into contact with society. They are very adept at sensing and even defining what the public taste is and how it may be satisfied. Here they will have to decide whether to deal on a superior, even elitist level, cater to the lowest common denominator, or perhaps find a middle ground. Regardless, September 9 people are quite capable of making a lot of money in the process. And life can be a constant battle for many September 9 people against their fears and insecurities. And strangely enough, such fears can drive them on to be surprisingly successful. And this is another reason why challenges have such a powerfully stimulating effect on them. Like counterphobic personalities, they often have to put themselves in positions of danger in order to experience the satisfaction of overcoming their fears. And September 9 people must keep a handle on their wilder side, however, which can urge them towards self-destructive behavior not easily understood or condoned by those around them. Well, all right, how about that for a birthday breakdown? Constant challenges that you rise to, all right? And I found it interesting. There seemed to be some correlations about everything I was talking about with finding your path. Interesting, huh? So maybe you take an interest in doing something like that. Who's to say? In any event, hey, I'll read some notes, provide a little bit of a commentary on your breakdown. An individual that faces varieties of demanding situations due to a complicated nature. Individuals who lean into the challenges of life over simplicities and rote year after year existences. So you seek to find what seems to be missing in life instead of passively going through life, hoping it finds you or that you stumble into it. And even if you don't realize you're doing as much, at least that's what I got from it, and the likes of which I'd say puts you ahead of many of us, all right, in so much as you aren't passive or reactive, but proactive. And if you aren't, you kind of feel that need to be. You just haven't got out of your own way yet. At least that's what I got from the reading. Hopefully that's the case, all right? And going with the flow apparently doesn't suit you either, so it makes sense things might thus be challenging or elusive, all right? But what's more, you seem like that as well, which is not to only the perfect recipe to find what you're looking for, but to also have a captivating story to go along with the effort, all right? So go after them challenges, I think is what it's saying, or what I'm saying anyway. I'm the one that wrote it, right? It's good. You got to have a challenge. You got to have something that it brings your steely metal out, or if you don't have that steely metal, for you to develop it. All right. The reading also relates such qualities draw a certain kind of attention from others who often wind up nurturing you in a way, while still allowing you independence, which is a dynamic that I've yet to experience myself, but it sounds quite nice and respectably enviable, all right? What else we got here? You have the struggles, motivations, and the necessary drive and desire to seek what's missing in life. And even if you never find it, the strength to go on regardless. That's right. Hey, you got to do it. Even if we don't get what we necessarily want out of life. Keep being strong, keep going after it. You know what? You don't want people or things or situations getting you down. That's right. So anyway, that's what I'd say about your birthday breakdown. Let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right, your numbers and your planets. Those born on the 9th of the month are ruled by the number 9 and the planet Mars. The number 9 is powerful in its influence on other numbers. Any number added to 9 yields that number, e.g. 5 plus 9 equals 14, and 4 plus 1 equals 5. And any number multiplied by 9 yields a 9, e.g. 9 times 5 is 45, and 4 plus 5 is 9. And September 9 people are similarly able to influence those around them. The planet Mars is forceful and aggressive, embodying male energy. But for the September 9 Virgo, who is ruled by Mercury, the combination of these two planets can result in a overly argumentative or critical personality. All right, what do I have to say about your numbers and your planets? All right. The number 9, the maths number and the planet Mars for that god of war, male energy. All right, and the ability to influence those around you, regardless all that, which might explain attracting those nurturing types and sensing the public taste, as was mentioned in the breakdown, but which might also speak to that wilder, self-destructive behavior mentioned in the latter part of the breakdown, but with the influence of Mercury imparting an argumentative, critical nature. All right, and all that to say, mind you, your introspective attitude in the midst of all of that. All right, you want to be mindful of your own personal process, I would argue. It's easy to drop in with our knee-jerk reactions and self-destructive responses, or defensive responses, but they could probably be self-destructive too. But often it isn't warranted. And I think we realize as much after we've already said those kinds of things, right? So effort to be mindful, I say, and identify those instances when they occur so you can master them, so the next time they do occur, maybe you can pump the brakes a little bit and come up with a better way of not being argumentative, all right? Find a way to be diplomatic, that's right. Maybe diffuse any kind of situations that might arise. You got to tame that male god of war energy, all right? Well, not necessarily, but in certain circumstances that help you out, I would argue. All right, hey, let's dive in with your tarot. All right, yeah. One of the more eclectic of the metaphysical ideologies, I would argue, for me, myself anyhow, but it's here in the book. I think it's fun to find out about things we don't necessarily know about or even believe sometimes. So let's find out what it has to say here. Open our minds to new ideas, that's right. The 9th card of the major arcana is the Hermit, who is usually depicted walking with a lantern and a stick, and he represents meditation, isolation, and quietude. The card also signifies crystallized wisdom and practiced discipline. And the Hermit is a taskmaster who motivates conscience and guides others on their path, like some numbers, that's right. The positive aspects of this card are stick-to-itiveness, you got that down, purpose, profundity, and concentration. Negative qualities include dogmatism, intolerance, mistrust, and discouragement. September 9 people should probably avoid the Hermit's extreme way of withdrawing from the world, but perhaps emulate his positive self-examination. All right. Hey, we're drilling down on some similar themes and stuff to talk about. I go through the read, my notes with the read, so a lot of times I'll guess things that happen before they even get mentioned. So let's see if I drill down on anything that they agree with too. All right, here's your tarot. Hermit for that meditation, quietude, crystallized wisdom, and practice discipline. All right, which I'd argue speaks to your steadfast devotion and capacity for introspection and mindfulness. Just mind swinging around that lantern with that god of war, Mars energy, when it comes to that argumentative, self-destructive nature, all right? And I say that because you chance losing the light in those moments. Though I think we said as much with the other breakdown for the numbers and planets. By minding your self-defensive, knee-jerk reactions. Some of the same stuff there, but hey, it's just further emphasized, I'd argue. All right, so hey, let's dive in with your health. All right. September 9 people are prone to problems with the digestive tract, all right? And sensitive and easily upset. Those born in this day have a low stress threshold, and when disturbed can easily take it out on their stomachs in the form of hyperacidity. And for some September 9 people, eating habits swing from food denial when emotionally upset to binge eating when depressed. And those born in this day must learn to balance their diet and also cultivate new tastes. September 9 people should force themselves to engage in regular physical exercise, but not of a competitive type unless serious athletes. In order to sleep well, they should extend some thought and resources and energy on making their bed, bedroom, and sleeping conditions extremely desirable and comfortable. All right, there's your health. They had some stuff in there that was a little new. Let's dive into it. Digestive problems, stress, and easy upset. God of War energy, again, it sounds like, all right? Food denial and binging, it says. That's a new one. I don't think they've mentioned that before, so maybe be mindful of as much. Also, a cultivation of new tastes and regular exercise, but of a non-competitive nature. You want to expand your horizons, I'm assuming, but not aggravate that Mars energy, I'm guessing. And the sleep practice setup recommendations are also new. They never talk about making your situation nice and comfortable and such. So maybe that's some of that Mercury energy catharsis in there. In any event, perhaps take note. Maybe you're someone who would really benefit from a nice, comfortable bedroom versus the rest of us who sleep on the floor, I guess. I don't know, even. Like I'm saying, it's just new stuff, so maybe be mindful. All right, hey, let's dive in with some advice. All right, as if we haven't got a lot of that already, right? Building your self-confidence is a big item. Allow for reflection, and then find your real abilities and act on them decisively. Worry and fear will eat you up if you let them. You alone hold yourself back. Stay joyful and never despair. All right. Hey, I didn't think you guys did despair based on a lot of what was in the breakdown, but you know what? We're all human, right? So let's see what I'd say for your advice. Build self-confidence. Wouldn't have guessed. Like I said, based on the breakdown, you seem like a self-assured individual. Self-introspection, again, here they mention. And I would agree about holding oneself back to a certain extent. Sometimes we get a little excited, and if you got that Mars energy, you might just get after things without even thinking about it. Who's to say? But confront your fears, even if in earnest. I say everything's a process, all right? Even if we're afraid of something, hey, get to it in earnest. Just a little bit at a time. Build yourself up, and then, or maybe just dive all in. Who's to say? But continue to rise, all right? It's all a process, all right? And that's what I'd say about your advice. So let's dive in. Take the Mars energy down just a little bit with your meditation, all right? Irritation is something you do to yourself. One more time. Irritation is something you do to yourself. All right, that's your meditation. That's just for you. It's your birthday. I'm not going to break it down, add some kind of meaning that takes all the meaning out of it for you, if you like. All right, hey, let's move on. Your strengths and your weaknesses. All right, everybody's got them. Let's find out what they are based on the reading, anyhow. Your strengths, you're discriminating, challenge-oriented, and introspective. Discriminating sounds a little bit, I guess it could be a strength. Well, there's a lot of negative connotations with that as of late, though. And your weaknesses. Ooh, you ready for your weaknesses? We got to find out what they are so we can address them, right? And be mindful. You're fearful, insecure, and needy. I wouldn't have guessed on the needy part. I don't know. They said there's folks that come in and are nurturing to you, but it didn't sound like it was something you were necessarily in need of. But hey, maybe not. Just mindful. Everybody's got something, right? Okay, hey, let's dive in with those born on this day, so we can find out who shares your company. That's right. What lottery we drew with all the other famous folks, people that put themselves on the map. But at this point, I like to take a moment to drill down on something I find particularly important, and that's finding your passion. I get out in the world and meet folks, ask them what they do, and more importantly, if they like it. And most times they don't. That's because they haven't had the time to put in the work that's necessary to figure out their passion. And, you know, it's not their fault necessarily. It's just the world requires a lot of us so that we can get on and get by. Jobs, security, all that stuff. So it takes a lot of extra time to figure out what our passions are. So here's what I argue. Maybe we can find some inspiration if we find ourselves in a similar pitfall where we don't quite know what to do, from those born on this day. Now, might not have been their passion, but it's what put them on the map, put them in the book, and so maybe we can get something from it. And just an added dynamic, if you like. So let's dive in with those born on this day. We have Leo Tolstoy, the Russian count, novelist of War and Peace, Anna Karenina, and was also a short story writer of The Kreutzer Sonata. He was a philosopher and a social reformer. We also have Otis Redding, how about that? The soul singer and songwriter. Max Reinhardt, the German theater authority, actor, producer, director. Elvin Jones, a jazz drummer for John Coltrane Quartet, a polyrhythm innovator, bandleader, and a composer. We also have Harland Colonel Sanders, all right, the chicken man, entrepreneur of Kentucky Fried Chicken. It says he was the Kentucky Fried Chicken king. There you go. We have Captain William Bligh, was a British mutiny victim on the HMS Bounty. We also have Michael Keaton, the film actor of Batman fame. Chaim Topol was an Israeli Broadway actor, Fiddler on the Roof. We also have Hans G. de Melt, German U.S. Nobel Prize-winning physicist, and he measured subatomic particles. We also have George Mraz, M-R-A-Z, Czech jazz bassist. Solomon Rothschild, the financier of the Vienna branch of the family. We have Arthur Rackham, a Victorian illustrator. James Hilton, the British novelist of Lost Horizon. We also have Billy Preston, a keyboardist, singer-songwriter, and session musician. Cliff Robertson, film actor. John Curry, the British Olympic gold medal winning figure skater. Cesar Pavese, an Italian poet, novelist, imprisoned for anti-fascist views. Stuck by his laurels, it sounds like. Beverly Nichols, gardening book, cat story, autobiographical horror tale writer of father figure. Not quite sure what cat story means. We have Phyllis Whitney, best-selling romantic suspense novelist of The Silver Sword. And we also, to finish off the birthday, those born on this day, Paul Goodman. All right, he's a writer of Growing Up Absurd. So we had some writers, philosophers, who else we had? Entrepreneurs, with the Colonel Sanders there. We also had some musicians. Hey, there's all sorts of stuff. Physicists too, subatomic particles, right? All sorts of things in there. So maybe become you a scientist or somebody was a figure skater. There you go. They got in that moderate amount of exercise, but not too competitive there. All right. And even that's been those born on this day, and that pretty much sums up the birthday read, except to say your season is summer, your sign once again is Virgo, of the Virgo II period specifically, and your quality and element is mutable earth. And this has been September 9th, the day of difficult demands, from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stealthers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description if you're interested in picking up a copy, diving in further on your own time. Maybe do a little quicker than I did it for you. But other than that, this thing makes a great coffee table book. It's going to get the conversation started if you have, one of them parties where people come over and nobody can really think of what to say or how to greet each other, whatever. It's going to get conversation broken. That ice broken for conversations are more likely there. Any event, hey, more importantly with all this, I just want to say happy birthday. That's right. I hope you have a happy birthday. And for everyone else who joined us to celebrate September 9th birthday, hey, I hope you enjoyed yourself and you join us for your birthday read. And let's not forget your daily numbers. That's right. A 6 and a 2 for an 8. Get out there, get your steps in, and let the universe show you it's with you on your path. I know it looked like you, of all people, might enjoy as much. So you take care of yourselves, and happy birthday. That's right.